Hi, my name is Emily and I work as an art therapist. Today I wanted to take you through an art activity where we create art from a still life and also incorporate mindfulness. So I'm so happy to have you guys all here today and I hope you're doing well. I know this is a pre-recorded video, but you're welcome to comment below and let the group know how you're feeling today or how this week has been. We'd really love to hear from you. And so to get started on this art project, I have set up some art materials to begin with. You're welcome to use anything you have at home. There's no pressure to have any supplies or get anything extra. You could use just any art making materials you have around the house. For instance, I'm going to be using a pencil to sketch with, a marker maybe to outline, an eraser. I have some watercolor paints, pencils, and pastels. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to incorporate that into my still life yet, but we'll see. So for you guys, just anything you have available, that's going to work for this project. You'll also notice the still life that I've set up. So what I did was look through my kitchen also to see what could I possibly use for the still life. You're welcome to use any kind of objects you like. I tend to like produce, fruits and vegetables, because they have such vibrant colors and they're kind of fun to incorporate into my drawing. So I've taken a cutting board and I've just arranged them in a way that I think looks kind of pleasing to the eye. And I've included, let's see, there's bananas, a couple of apples, orange, lemon, pear, and some nectarines. So I've just arranged that anyway. And so you guys can do the same at home if you'd like to follow along. So to start off with, I want to do a mindfulness exercise that's going to get us in touch with our five senses. And hopefully the idea is to ground us in the present moment. Maybe it can help us to feel relaxed, a little bit more calm, and also ready to get started on some art making. So to start off with, I want to encourage everybody just right where you are to take a moment and put both feet on the ground. Maybe you want to put hands on the table or in your lap. It's up to you, whatever feels more comfortable. So to start off with, let's take a deep breath and exhale. And again, just breathing in and out at a pace that feels comfortable for you. So the first sense I want to engage in this moment is sight. So I want you to take a look around you and notice what you see. Can you describe what you see? So I might look over here to this fruit that I've set up, and I notice a red apple, a yellow lemon. I notice that they're curved, round shapes. I notice some different textures. The orange, for example, is really a very different texture than the banana. And so you can continue like this for a moment, just noticing and naming what you see. And when you're finished with that, I want to move on to smell. What do you notice in the room? Do you notice any smells? Does it smell different inside versus outside? Or what about if you light a candle in the room? Does that create a different sense of smell? So even just taking a moment, like in this room for me, I've cut up this nectarine and I can smell what it smells like. It's a really nice smell. So you're welcome to, while you're doing this project, also to use the fruit to practice engaging with your five senses. So the next sense I wanted to incorporate is sound. So if you're listening inside your home right now, what do you hear around you? I'd imagine you're hearing my voice in this video. Are there any other people at home? Can you hear the birds outside? From the window I'm actually looking out of right now, I can hear some birds chirping outside. I don't know if you guys can hear them in the video too. So listening around you. So what do you hear? And then next I want to explore the sense of touch. So if you had your hands holding together, in your lap or on the table, you might be touching your hands right now, or the table, or your lap. Just even thinking about what that feels like. You can likewise feel the texture of the fruit. Like the apple feels smooth. The orange feels kind of rough, similar to the lemon. The banana is a smooth fruit. And also my cut up nectarine on the inside feels cool. So I'd like to encourage you to feel some things around you on the table and just explore that sense of touch. So next, the last sense that we're going to look at today is the sense of taste. And this is where it might be helpful to have a piece of fruit cut from your still life. Now, you can, even if you're not eating anything, tune into maybe a taste you have in your mouth. What could make that taste heightened is maybe to take your piece of fruit or something else you have around and give it a taste. And really explore that as you try it. What does that taste like for you? So that's one way that throughout the day you can engage with your five senses. And again, what this hopefully does is bring us really present into this moment. Like just after focusing on that, I feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more here. And I wonder if you feel the same. You can let us know if you want to comment. Also, checking in, how often do you sort of tune into those five senses? Is this a practice you use? It can make everyday activities a lot more interesting. So that's something that I wanted to share with you guys and bring your mindful attention to. If it's something that you enjoy, maybe try practicing it throughout the day. It could be in everyday activities, such as when you're doing dishes or taking a shower, or when you're in the room with someone else, maybe tuning in to all of those sensations with another person. That can even be a little more challenging. So the idea behind this too is that, we can maybe make these everyday moments where we are spending a lot more time at home, maybe a little bit more interesting. So bringing some curiosity to those five senses. I hope you guys liked that exercise. So now that we've tuned in, we're gonna try to sketch out the still life. Now, just to save a little time, I pre-did a sketch of the still life. And this is just a pencil sketch really quick. What I want to invite you guys to do also is as you're studying this, you can be as precise or not as you would like. I don't want you to get hung up on it looking perfect or a certain way. It can really just be an exploration of colors, of shapes, and sizes. So with that same curiosity that we brought to our exploration of our five senses, I want you to bring into sketching these pieces of fruit or vegetables or whatever you're using. So I have my still life kind of sketched out here, and I want to invite you guys at home to do the same. So you can pause the video or come back to it. And then once you have your sketch, we'll meet up again here. I have a Sharpie marker that I thought I would just go ahead and outline the fruit. So it's not going to look even super realistic what I'm doing, but I think the bold colors might be fun. I'm just really interested in kind of playing around right now and seeing where it comes from. So I'm going to go ahead and add some lines to this picture. So I'm going over my pencil marks now, and we'll see how this comes out. So you can see that as I'm adding these lines, it's really becoming a much more bold image. It's gonna look even maybe a little cartoony versus realistic. And that is okay. So I wonder, how is your drawing coming at home? Are you guys enjoying this process? Also, how did the mindfulness exercise feel before making art? Do you think that it helps you focus in some way? Were you able to also approach that technique with curiosity? I think curiosity is a great thing to practice throughout the day. We can explore things we've seen a bunch with maybe a new lens. Okay, so I'm almost done, just kind of outlining my image here, and this will be easier for you guys to see on the video too when I get it done. So now, instead of the sketch still life of fruit, I have my outlined version. So I can take a moment if I want to kind of hold it up and say, compare it and see what I think about the image that I've drawn and the fruit image. And like I mentioned before, this does not have to look perfect. This is really all about the process and enjoying being in the moment. So I'm gonna just sort of check in and see what I feel like using. I can look at these colors and look at my materials and see what I want to use. So I think I might use some of these oil pastels. They're kind of like oilier crayons. If you have crayons at home or colored pencils or markers or really anything you can find, that should work fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and give my fruit some colors. And it's cool to look at actually the details of these apples or oranges or bananas or pears. They're usually kind of more than one color. Do you guys notice that about what you've chosen to use too? It's not really a one-dimensional flat color. It's almost like, we can really see, we can see a lot more if we look for it. So that's also part of that, like tuning in. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in with my oil pastels this drawing. And maybe a little bit more yellow here and a brown stem. So You can see already, doesn't that kind of bring it to life? And it looks like an apple, more or less, which is what I was hoping for. So next I'm going to move on and say, this looks like a pretty good lemon color. It's really, this lemon looks really ripe too. Have you noticed how sometimes when you buy a lemon and it's not quite ripe, it'll have like some green colors to it? Like I'm looking on here and maybe a little bit on the edge here, it has a little bit of green. But it's mostly a bright yellow color. And similarly, the banana would be a bright yellow color too, except it doesn't look like it's totally ripe. It has some green in it, which is even similar, as you guys can see, to the shade of the pear. So what I'm going to do with that is add some yellow. This looks like a good banana yellow. And I'm going to add that in. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of green to it. Because like I said, this banana isn't quite, it's actually not quite ripe yet. So it has a little bit more time. So I'm going to add some green as well and just sort of blend colors. And you guys are welcome to do this, if you're using colored pencils or markers is obviously a little harder to blend with, but paints or, watercolors, pastels, all of that's really easy to blend with. So you guys can see I tried to add a little green to my bananas. And then we have this really bright colored pear. I think this might be a little brighter than it actually is, but I like it. We're going to use it. And I want you guys to also feel like you can experiment with the color choices. Maybe you don't actually want to keep the colors of the fruit as it is. If you feel like making a purple pear, feel free. You can make it any color you like, as abstract or as realistic as feels good. So for my nectarine, I'm looking at it and it has like a lot of colors here, actually. It's like yellow and orange and red. It's like a real blend of a lot of colors. So here we go. Looks kind of like a nectarine, doesn't it? And then in orange, we're going to need a bright orange color for this. One thing I like about using oil pastels is oftentimes in the box, you get a lot of options for colors. So I'm able to kind of look at my still life and say, which color is most similar to the shade of orange that I see? So I'm curious, what did you guys choose to draw for your still life? What did you set up here? Did you use fruit or vegetables or other objects? I've seen some beautiful still life paintings or drawings with flowers or even just objects from around the house. Like that's also a possibility. So I'm curious, what did you guys choose to use for yours? You can let us know if you want to comment below. You can tell us what you decided to use for your project. All right, so I have my apple, and let's see. This nectarine here is also a lot of different colors. It's kind of like a sort of peach, kind of orange color on the inside, yellow. I don't know, I'm gonna try my best to make this color. It's a little challenging, but I think I'm gonna blend some of the yellow and some of the peach together and see how that works. Okay, so now I pretty much have my fruit finished. And I think instead of keeping the background all the same, like using pastels on the background, I think I might move over to using some watercolors. So I have water and a paper towel and some brushes here. And I'm going to see what I can do to create like a background for my oil pastels. So one cool thing about using oil pastels with, I forgot this little part, using oil pastels with watercolor is that oil and water don't mix. So just like when you're in the kitchen and you're cooking and oil and water, you can't mix together. Similar to this, oil pastels and watercolor paints don't mix. So what I could do, I'll show you guys. What I could do is even paint right over the oil pastel and it won't stick. So it is a nice combination when you're dealing with the background. Because you're never going to smudge or, kind of change the shape of your fruit. You can paint right up to it and no problem at all. So this is allowing me to paint with a little bit less care or more freedom, however you want to look at it. This in the middle. Cool. So as you can see, I'm just going to pick up this strip. I have added somewhat of a texture of the cutting board in this pastel. And then I can decide what I want to use for the background. I'm feeling like maybe some blues and greens might be nice. So again, I'm going to take my watercolor and I'm just going to paint whatever I want to paint onto the background. You could do this realistically, like I could look at the rest of my room and see what fits into the background of this fruit from my point of view. Or you could just make it up. Or like I'm doing, you could use colors. And I think it looks pretty just to have just like a simple background. And I know that I'm working on this really quickly, but I want to encourage you guys to take as long as you need. You can come back to this if it feels like too much to do in one sitting. But take your time. And I want to encourage you also just to make it your own. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit, but I'll show you guys the end result. So here's my watercolor background and my still life of fruit. How was that for you guys? Did you enjoy the process? What did you think of the mindfulness activity of tuning into our 5 senses before we began? Did that help you get in touch with how you were feeling in that present moment before getting started on art making? It can be a really nice practice to use throughout your week. So again, tuning in to what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, and what you feel. So using all 5 senses, throughout the week can be a great way to make ordinary moments feel a little bit more special. I also hope that you guys enjoyed our still life activity. You're welcome to try this at home with anything you can find around the house. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Okay.